Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Your Football show. And, of course, the return of the Premier League. The Premier League is back, and you'll be happy to know, like most of us on the panel, that there is now no international football till March. So happy days. Happy days, because it's been a boring week or so. I even had to do some England watch-alongs to get some content out in the meantime. But it's great that the Premier League is back, and I've got the band back together, plus an old face and a new face. Kev from the LFC Day Trippers for your debut, mate. We love the Trippers on this channel. How are you doing, Kev? All right?
I'm really good. I wish it was the end of the international football until March. The AFCON might get cancelled or something.
Oh, right. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah. If it wasn't for that, we'd be happy bunnies. But no, delighted to have some normal service resume now for this weekend, and there's some banging fixtures this weekend. So can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, loads to look forward to. When is the AFCON, just out of interest?
Hopefully the players go, for us in our case, after the Chelsea game. But there's talk that the nations could ask for them around December 27th, which means they'd miss the Leicester game and the Chelsea game for us. It would be a real hindrance. Hopefully they're trying to do a deal where they all go on from the 2nd of January until the end of the month.
Cool. Is anyone else affected by the AFCON? We at Leeds United, and that's why I was saying no international football, because we don't have anyone affected by the AFCON. The rest of you got people affected? Yeah. What about yourself, Locks?
Mate, yeah, we'll lose Ndidi, we'll lose Daka, we'll lose Ian Acho. So yeah, we'll be quite heavily affected there. We'll just have a 35-year-old Vardy. That's it up front. So no other backup there. Oh,
I know, it's a beauty. I love that, mate. I absolutely love that. What about you, Corey? AFCON?
Yeah, Benny's the one, isn't he? He's off for the AFCON. So yeah, that's why we need to get certain Jesse in before that kind of commences. Yeah. So I've got my eye on that. It's going to be a big loss. He's been superb, hasn't he, this season?
Mm. And the return of Matt Hayes. I've been trying to get you back on for weeks, Animate, but you've been dodging me. But you message me and says, "Listen, is there a spot? I'm free. I want to come on." How are you doing, Matt?
I'm all good, Joe. I've never been dodging your texts. I'd block you if I wanted to, but I wouldn't dodge your texts. No, I'm glad to be back. Looking forward to the chat. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. And Oscar, late as ever, mate, looking... Oh, mate, it's beautiful, that Tash. I can't lie. Are you growing the goatee as well? Yeah, is that the plan?
I did say to you, do we go for a full-on George Michael disc kind of beard? I thought, nah, I'm not doing that. That's too much. But I thought, yeah, I'll grow something a bit underneath. Ethan's made my night, though. He says I look like Robin Koch. I will take that all day long, to be fair. I don't know about that, mate. I think that might be a bit... That's pushing it a bit, that. Yeah. But no, I've gone for it. Yours is coming on, though.
Yeah, it's coming on. It's coming on. Nice Keith Lemon vibe.
Just 12 days to go now. 12 days to go. But it's good stuff, mate. It's good stuff.
Good. Glad to have you back. I know. I came to Corey and Locks to ask them about the AFCON, but Locks, how are you doing, mate? You've got a little bit of a tash growing there as well. I can see.
Right, honestly, don't, mate. It's it doesn't grow anywhere else. I'm like, it's just there and there. That's it. So. Yeah, it's 12 days. To be fair, I think the last time I shaved was probably like a week before the start when I was meant to. So I've got an extra week on, yeah, even though it doesn't look like it. But yeah, all good, mate, all good. Quite sad that the international break's finished, actually, because now I've got to go back to, average club football, as it seems this season. Hopefully we can turn it around, though. I doubt though this weekend.
No, doubt this weekend, mate. I can't lie. I doubt you will this weekend. And Corey, how's things with you, mate? You're flying out. You're still up on a high from just the way West Ham are performing, man.
Yeah, it was a nice way to end the club football before the international break, and we haven't stopped talking about it really since. Obviously, I say it to you every single time. It's a bit mad to be where we're at, but I have had my fill of teams of the season. I went on Grizzly Channel, we did it again, and I'm just like, right, that's it now. I'm ready to get back into West Ham and the league. That's where it's at. And listen, it was quite enjoyable for a little bit watching San Marino, and then it did get to a point where it felt like a game of FIFA, where I was like, this is getting... Yeah. It was just a bit too much for me. I was like, I'm not even sure if this is fun to watch. So, yeah. But
I felt sorry for them in the end. Like, even with the penalty decisions and that, I was like, just don't give it. Just don't
Yeah.
give it.
Harry Kane wanted to get his goal record up as well. He was
Yeah,
buzzing against Savarino. Gareth, leave me on.
Yeah, definitely. And the referee was a joke as well. Every time he went to VAR, he came back and carded the player. Like it's just what he did. And I was like, that's not how it's supposed to work. It was really frustrating because I had Jude Bellingham to score any time as well. And then obviously Tammy Abraham got apprehended for basically turning and catching a player by accident and then got a yellow card for it as well. And I was like, what is this ref doing? But he must have thought whenever you got VAR, you have to give a card. I don't know. But that's it. Enough of international chat now. Let's get straight into the weekend's fixtures and we'll start with locks. Leicester City versus table toppers Chelsea. Do you have any chance whatsoever in this game?
Yes, I think so because it's Leicester. We enjoy playing against the bigger teams normally. So obviously we beat Man United this season. We beat Man City in the Community Shield at the start of the season. So yeah, we've got a chance.
Are we really counting that? Are we really counting?
Oh, let him have it, mate. Let him have it. Come on.
It's Harry Kane-esque, that, isn't it? Harry Kane, let's snap padding that.
Snap padding, yeah.
It's better than the Audi Cup. It's better than the Audi Cup. But
listen,
honestly,
I'm back 5 minutes and.
Yeah, I think when we came back from the last international break, we were better. So fingers crossed. I think Johnny Evans had a good international break. He played well. Even Soyuncu played well, and that's unheard of, these days in the past few months. So, yeah, mate, I'm not dreading it like I was before the international break. I was dreading every game, a bit like you were, Joe. Obviously, going into each game, you're kind of worried, but I think we could turn it around. Do I think we will? I don't. There's a bit of uncertainty at the minute. I think this whole Brendan Rodgers saga. I mean, it should be ended now for a few months because he's come out today and he said, I have no interest. I'm happy where I am. It's all paper talk. It's all rubbish. Hopefully, Terry from the Football Terrace can stop going on about it now. All I've been seeing is tweet after tweet. Zidane, Rodgers, every few minutes it's a new name. So hopefully you can leave Rodgers out for a bit and we can focus on getting back up the table. And then again, like you've got the Fofana links that they've come out the woodwork. I don't know if you've heard about the Kasper Schmeichel situation. Have you guys heard about that? Like,
no, come on.
He came out over the international breaks. He came in probably 4 or 5 days ago in an interview with Danish media saying that he does want to play Champions League football again before he retires, and he may need to leave the club for that, which is something I wouldn't have expected Kasper Schmeichel to
Imagine my shock, Kasper Schmeichel being really mouthy in the media. Imagine my shock at that. What an absolute incredible surprise that is. Kasper Schmeichel saying too much.
But that's extremely rare. Talking about Leicester in that way, because he's never done anything like that. He's always been one of the loyal ones, I suppose, along with Vardy. But so that was a bit of a shock. And then I sent it to you lads in the group chat last night. Like Wesley Fofana was in a Twitter space, and I was like, "Oh, look at this! Fofana's in a Twitter space." And then I woke up this morning, and apparently he said something in French about wanting to move to a Chelsea or a Liverpool, and then go on, and then go on to Marseille, which was all right.
That's his hometown club, to be fair. I read the comments. I read the comments this morning, and to be fair, let's not kid around. Leicester are a stepping stone club for a lot of these players to move on to. Kev. It's no disrespect, because you look at the likes of Yuri Tillman. You're not going to get a Yuri Tillemans for the price that you did if you're not going to facilitate a move for him, so that you'll profit and you'll improve the player, and then you go out and buy 2 more of the same caliber to do the same, and you keep building. That's not unrealistic. So for Fofana to turn around and say, look at a crop of French defenders that he's come through with, they're all going to be playing, challenging for titles, challenging for top honours in Europe on a regular, consistent basis. So it's harsh on Leicester because of the injuries that he's had, that if he's come out and said, I might want away after however long he's been out for his injury, and he's close to coming back. But at the same time, you guys have to expect that at some point he's going to improve to a stage where you're going to cash in on him as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of like the business model that Leicester have at the minute. So, I mean, it swings and roundabouts with that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, when certain players left the club, like you look at Ben Chilwell, when Ben Chilwell left, it was like, 50 million, like, we'll take that all day long for Ben Chilwell. At the time, he's a better player now than he was when, a year and a half ago when he left us. But, 50 million for Ben Chilwell at that time was, we were laughing our heads off. So, but then you look at the other players that left, obviously, Maguire, we pulled Man United's pants down with that one for the 80 million. I think the only one... I think we could have got more money for Mahrez, 100%. I mean, I think that was it 60, I think? Or 50, 55? Maybe at the time...
You were saying it was average the other day.
No, that wasn't Mahrez. That wasn't Mahrez.
You do, I don't know. Your agenda against former players.
I don't like them. I don't like Mahrez, but he was the best, he's technically the best player we've ever had at the club. But yeah, and then I think N'Golo Kante was the one that we got ripped off. Really, I think there was a release clause in there or something. That was 30 million for Kante at the time. It was like, come on, he's worth nearly double that now. How he was performing. So yeah, it's we can't complain when we're getting big money for these players, which I think we would with Tielemans, Fofana whenever he may leave. But I think there's a difference between selling Ben Chilwell and selling Tielemans. I think Tielemans is just. For me, personally, I think he's like. I looked at Chilwell. I thought we could replace him, and we did kind of with James Justin. I mean, he had a much better season than Chilwell did last season until until Justin got his ACL injury. So he's back soon. But yeah, I can't see us replacing Tielemans. Like, I just can't see it. I've said it time and time again on here. I think he gets into 99% of the teams on the planet. Like, I really do. I think he's good enough, and he's definitely gone in the summer if we don't somehow get top 4 football, Champions League football.
You're not getting that, are you? No.
Well, and
do you know what I can't wait for, Locks?
No, we are doing that, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, knowing how you are, Locks. Yeah, I just can't wait for next season when Rodgers, Schmeichel, Fofana are all like the worst things since sliced bread. Like your Chilwells, your Mahrez.
Fofana's not going. Fofana's not going.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Because we won't let Fofana go for anything less than probably 80 million again. And no one's paying 80 million for him, when he's just broke. Obviously he's going to be back around Christmas time, hopefully. And no one's going to pay that much money for him after, only 5 months of football. So, yeah, I think we're safe with him, but yeah, it's the others. I mean, there's links. Yeah, there's rumours of course, Tielemans and Ndidi as well. There's Man United, and
Do you know what I find strange though, Locks? Like, and I just want to get the guys' opinion on this as well. The Schmeichel chat, like, Schmeichel's ego's huge. Like, for him to be saying that, for me, not Champions League side in this division's taking him. So where's he going? He'd have to rock up at somewhere in like Portugal or something like that if he wants to play Champions League football, because I don't see him going to any of the other top clubs across the other top 5 leagues. Does anyone agree or disagree? Who would Schmeichel go to that would get him regular Champions League?
Maybe somewhere in Italy, maybe Juventus.
Do you think?
He's better than Chesney. But
yeah.
I think it would have to be Italy. He's not going to PSG. He's definitely not going to Madrid, either of the Madrid clubs or Barcelona. Not going to Germany, no chance.
No.
So for me, it would have to be Italy. And Dean Henderson wanting out at Man United. There's your turnaround.
There you go.
See,
that's why I brought Kev on.
There was a rumor. There was a rumor not the summer just gone, the one before. Schmeichel was heavily linked to Man United. I think when they were still thinking about letting Dean Henderson go, permanently. I think it was with Chelsea after. There was a club after him. I can't remember who it was after Dean Henderson. But yeah, there was rumours there of Schmeichel to be the backup, for De Gea. So yeah, look, inevitably the younger players, Tielemans, and Ndidi, Fofana, they will move on. I'm not crazy. Of course they'll move on. We're not gonna be. I think this was our chance. This season was our chance to kind of become like that team that would be at the top, challenging for top 4 every season, because this would have been the 3rd year in a row. I think if we continued it this year and maybe 3rd time lucky, we might have got it, then I think these players would have stayed. I definitely think the whole delay with the Tielemans situation is, can Leicester qualify for top 4? And now I would say we can't. He's likely to go, but yeah, weirder things have happened. And Diddy, as I mentioned, he's recently got a new agent, and people are saying, "Oh, bloody hell, here we go." He's going to try and seek a move away. So, yeah, there's a few players in our squad where you do worry where they might be next season. But Leicester, historically, we haven't let more than 1 or 2 go in a single transfer window. But if these players are demanding moves, it turns into a bit of a tough situation.
It'll be very interesting, won't it, mate, if Rodgers does leave, and then the likes of Schmeichel and Diddy and Tielemans, like what happens next for Leicester? Do you know what I mean? There must be a bit of a worry there, because I know you made that bold claim before. We're a manager sacking away from, or a manager leaving away from relegation or something, wasn't it? Or something.
Well, relegation was a bit. But
just a bit
down there. Of course, and that what you've just hit the nail on the head. Rodgers leaves, and he probably takes a couple of them. So if Rodgers goes to, I don't think he will, but if he goes,
he'd take Diddy, wouldn't he? He'd take Diddy, surely.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that's the thing. That's the worry. If he goes, he takes a couple, and we'll probably make a unambitious sign. I mean, you're hearing Lampard, I've heard this week. Apparently Lampard's keeping his eye on the Leicester situation for when Rodgers goes. And it's like, honestly,
he couldn't even get in at Norwich, for God's sake.
Yeah, well,
that would send me over the edge. That really would.
I'll tell you something. I heard some mad stuff's gone down at Norwich between Campbell and Billy Gilmore, and that's why Campbell's not about and Billy Gilmore's not getting game time. So I've heard some mad stuff, and it won't surprise you if Lampard's heard this stuff on the grapevine and gone, "Nah, you're all right," because Gilmore's his boy. So I don't know. One of these things, isn't it? I'll tell you off air what's apparently gone down, but it is just all ITK sort of stuff. You know what I mean? But I heard some mad stuff anyway. But they're both not in the side. Campbell's not even been in training, so it'd be interesting to see if that changes now that Smith's there. But is everyone back in Chelsea this weekend? 4 wins out of 5, last 5. They're going to win out there, surely.
Yeah, Chelsea 2-1. I mean, Tielemans is a massive miss. He's going to be out till December, so that's huge. But saying that, Chelsea haven't been pulling up trees. They've been solid. They're hard to get at. They're not scoring freely. I think they're not in a false position, but they're not as good as what people make out there. But if you can get at them, as Brentford showed, you can put them under real pressure. So, and Leicester have the pacey players who can hurt them. So I'm hopeful, but I'd fancy Chelsea. You'd have to
Yeah, for sure. I think we'd all back that. I just want to touch briefly on Aston Villa, because obviously since we've been away, Steven Gerrard's come in the door. I'll come to you in a bit, Kev. My opinions I let out there. I said on social media that I'm a bit gutted that he's not going to be available for when Bielsa inevitably leaves, which I believe, I've got sneaky suspicion, could be the summer. That's just where my head's at. That's not any sort. I'm not in the know at all, but that's just where my head is at. So I'm a bit disappointed he's not available. And a lot of Leeds fans were like, "Why? It's rubbish league. It's rubbish." But I think he'll do really well at Villa. Corey, what are your thoughts on Stevie G and him rocking up at Villa? He's going to have money to spend as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the situation is, because I've seen a lot of things with financial fair play in terms of how much clubs can spend. But he is going into a team where he's got a lot of options to pick from. And I think what we've seen at Rangers is a progressive side. They're better in possession, and he's got players that he can bring in and get the best out of. I still think it's exciting. I don't think it's too much of a risk, if I'm honest. I think Villa are more than good enough to stabilise, even if Gerrard doesn't hit the ground running, probably mid-table. But if it all goes well, then I think they'll start to become slight problems for me looking behind, because I think they have got the players. If Ings can maintain his fitness, if you've got Ollie Watkins in there, Buendia has had a poor season so far. He's looked awful, but in the right system, he could thrive. So I think it's a really good job for him. And like you say,
Yeah.
with the money in January to bring in players that he wants, I think, unfortunately for me, he could try and take them to another level. So I'll be keeping my eye on things. I haven't seen too much of Rangers, so it's difficult for me to say what Villa would look like. But credit to him for taking the job. He could have stayed there for a while. He could have just padded his record a little bit more and waited out for the Liverpool. But fair play. It's not a foregone conclusion. It's a nice job, but it's not an easy job.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a guaranteed banker manager bounce this weekend, Oscar. I think Aston Villa beat Brighton this weekend, lost the last 5, haven't they? And I just think he's going to have, even just on it's similar to what Lampard, I guess, but when Steven Gerrard's on the training field, then he's telling you how to get on. You're listening, aren't you, Oscar? Do you know what I mean? And what are your thoughts as a Leeds United fan? Were you the same as me? Because I know you've had a high opinion of him as well, right?
Yeah, look, I think obviously the fact Gary Max is number 2 as well. It seemed like a real something that could happen in the future. Obviously, there's been mention of it, but I don't know. There's a lot of, when the sad day comes and Bielsa leaves, there'll be a lot of people who Leeds could go for. Victor Orta is a very connected man. He might not have been thinking down that line of Steven Gerrard. And look, it's the way things happen in football. But Gerrard at Villa makes a lot of sense in terms of the way he wants to play: 4-3-3, high press. He's got Watkins and Ings there to choose from. We know Watkins can press like mad. Obviously got people like Leon Bailey on the wings and that lot. Buendia, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Buendia, but I'm not sure if Gerrard will be his biggest fan for Buendia, to be honest. And I think the big thing with Gerrard is, he's not... There's one thing you can say about Gerrard: he'll have the bottle to drop Tyrone Mings, for starters. He'll have the bottle to drop the players that aren't quite good enough for Villa anymore. He'll have the bottle to say Konsa, Twanzebe is his back 2. And I think he'll do that, to be honest, because I don't think it's as easy for a Dean Smith to do that. He tried dropping Mings a few weeks ago and it kind of backfired on him a little bit. I think with a Gerrard in charge, can put a fresh look on the squad. He might go down that route. There's other players he might drop. I think Target's not been anywhere near his level of what he was at last season. So he'll make the big decisions. And I just think the squad's tailor-made to how he wants to play. And then you've got the January window, different bits and pieces like that. I think it's a chance Villa get top 10, to be honest. I think there's still a chance to get top 10. But there's a lot of teams you can say that about. I said the same about Palace. Some of them are going to have to miss out. But yeah, they'll be pushing up the table. I don't see Villa being in any relegation trouble. I don't even see it as a firefighting job, to be honest. I think Gerrard's gone in there just to fire him up the table. There's no kind of worry of a relegation scrap for Villa.
I think it's a great job, isn't it? It's a great job to take that.
Yeah, of course it is.
Huge club as well.
The options he's got there, he's got obviously Ings and Watkins. A choice between the two. Whichever one he picks is going to give him something. He might even go 2 up top and try and get something out of the 2 of them. But you look at the options they've got off the bench, who don't even get in the team. It's pretty strong what Villa have built there. And let's be honest, they almost finished top 10 last season under Dean Smith before they did all this recruitment. So be interesting to see how that plays out at Villa.
Yeah, for sure. Kev, I'm conscious I haven't come to Matt yet. So Matt, hold on, I'm coming, mate. I'm coming. All right.
That's all right.
Sorry. Kev, just to get your opinion on the Gerrard situation, is every Liverpool fan are they resigned? Not resigned sounds the wrong word. Like resigned to the fact sounds negative, but I guess are they all accepting that when Klopp goes, Gerrard's the man? He's that it. Like there's no other option.
I hope not, because
really?
Yeah, I hope not. Not that I hope that Gerrard doesn't get it. Gerrard's very young, in football manager terms. He's only been managing for Liverpool under-18s and Rangers in a very weak league. So it's easy to go to Scotland. You have a Rangers side that you've built. You have them playing how you want, 4-3-3. It's very easy to be an open attacking side in the SPL when you're playing 3 or 4 sides that are of equal standard and quality to you every week. Coming into an Aston Villa side that for the entirety of 2021 are in very poor form. They built that 10th place finish on the strength of their first 4 months last year. They fell away really badly. And the way they've been playing under Dean Smith is shocking. It's a damning indictment in that dressing room that they've down tools that badly for that manager. Gerrard has an awful lot of work to do. and he's very much he's not so much a Rafa Benitez type manager or a Brendan Rodgers type manager. He's more a Gerrard Houllier type manager, that's where I think he's got his most influence from, where he'll be rigid. He wants to make him defensively sound and built that way. Whether he sits deep and plays on the counter with Leon Bailey, who knows? I'm intrigued to see how he gets on. But if he gets the Liverpool job, I want it to be on merit, not on the fact that it's Steven Gerrard and the romantic side of it. That's just not me. That's most of the lads on the Trippers will say exactly the same. That
you don't want to end up in an Ollie situation, do you?
Yeah, I don't want to end up in an Ollie situation or a Frank Lampard situation where even Kenny, when Kenny came back the second time, it was heartbreaking because we could all see the writing was on the wall that there needed to be a change. And as fans, you feel absolutely terrible about it. But you have to be stand off and say, look, you're looking when Jurgen Klopp came in to take it over, we're 7th place, pushing to get into the top 4. You're now in a situation where you're bedded in the top 4, looking to challenge titles against states. And a new state football run club is coming up behind you on the rails. So you can't give someone a job at a top club now on sentiment. It's just not right. Now, if Gerrard, and I hope to God that this works out at Villa for him, he will be backed. They are a very wealthy club. They have financial fair play issues that they have to work around. They might have to sell to buy for a while. And as long as he can get him stable this year, keep him up, mid-table, do okay in the cups, start to bed his own playing style into it, then look to build next year and the year after. I mean, I'm hoping that Klopp extends, but if he doesn't, then there are other options out there if he goes in 2024. You know, it's not a straightforward crapshoot that Steven Gerrard at the age of 45-6 is entitled to the Liverpool job because he's one of our greatest ever players. Football don't work like that. And to be fair, Carragher turned around and said exactly this. Steven Gerrard wouldn't want the job on sentiment. He'd want it on merit. And that's a measure of the character that he is. And I'm sure that is true. And as fans, we have to be honest and say, look, if he isn't pulling up trees at a club like Villa, pushing to get into the top 6, playing a good style of football that's effective, then he doesn't have any business at a top 2 or 3 club. I'm sorry. No, you have to be honest about it.
No, that's fair. You bang on, Kev. Because, like I say, and I suppose it's a perfect job for him to see if he is ready for that step up when the time does come. Just sticking with the
guarantees. Like I totally agree with Kev there. I think it's as likely someone like a Nagelsmann comes in for Klopp, a more like for like change for Klopp, because you got to think what Klopp's done at Liverpool. You know, it says he's totally transformed the club. It's a bit like Leeds with Bielsa. Gerrard and Klopp are very, very different types of manager. Very, very different types of manager in that kind of sense. I wouldn't be surprised if they went for more of a Nagelsmann, something kind of in between, and then maybe go on to Gerrard in kind of like 5-10 years' time.
Yeah.
Be interesting, but I don't think it's guaranteed Gerrard goes to Liverpool either, to be honest.
That's fair. Let's stick with the new managers and we'll come to Matt. Obviously, a new manager will be taking his first game this weekend. It's Eddie Howe at Newcastle. No doubt their training and like the time they've had during the international break has just been like chalk and cheese to what they've been used to under Steve Bruce. They've got Brentford at the weekend. Brentford not in great form. Do you see this as being like the perfect fixture? Eddie Howe, first game at St. James's Park. You know, surely there's going to be a big improvement there. What I will just say as well, for those people know that I'm not a big fan of Alan St-Maximin. My partner's obviously from the northeast, and her dad's a Newcastle fan, and he came round the other day, and I was saying about Alan St-Maximin, and he agreed with me, and he went, "No, he just runs down dark alleys and don't know what to do with it after that point." So it'll be interesting to see. I just wanted to put that out there. But it'll be interesting to see, Matt, what Eddie Howe does with Alan St-Maximin and the rest of that Newcastle squad.
Yeah, look, I think he's a lot more pressing issues to deal with before it does get to Alan St-Maximin. But I think just like Newcastle did in their first couple of games after the takeover, The excitement that's there now with I don't think the excitement is so much that it's Eddie Howe who's the man that's come in, but it's the fact that there's someone there who isn't Steve Bruce, I suppose. I think it'll only take a couple of games for them to be brought back down to earth and realise they are still 5 points from safety, and they are still in a very, very bad situation that isn't really looking like it's going to be changing a lot, because they can invest in January. I don't know how much they can invest within all the fair play rules. Is it 2? Okay, that's different. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look,
but didn't she say that over 5 seasons though?
They can spend 200 million, and then after that they'll have to sell and then grow the sponsorship deals and what have you to grow their revenues that way. That's why they put a bit of a lock on them this year, the Premier League, but that'll probably end up in court and see where that goes. But initially, I think a maximum of 200 million. But then you've got to convince 200 million pounds worth of players to come and fight for a relegation cause. You know, a lot of players these days you're seeing with the likes of Jude Bellingham and the likes of that caliber of player, which Newcastle fans are going to want. These kids are more interested in developing as players. They know the money will come. You know, I mean, the caliber of player that you want, they ain't too fussed about the wages now. So they still, unless they start looking to attract mercenaries, and then maybe they do go down, God willing.
I do think it is all about just them actually tempering their expectations, because look, fair enough, fans are going to get carried away with this stuff. I mean, if you don't get carried away with what's the changes that you've seen at Newcastle, you kind of question what's the point in supporting the club. You know, you need to have that excitement, you need to have that love and stuff. But what's important is the board temper their expectations. They don't try and go out and try getting Mbappe or something like that, because it's simply not going to happen. They need to not try and build a team to challenge for Europe. They need to build a team that can stay up in the Premier League, then they can get to that mid-table section. And I mean, look, if you're talking long term for Newcastle, they're not winning a league. They're not going to be that team, because when Manchester City did it, fair enough, they did it really well. And you know, that kind of first section of recruitment they brought in like the Gareth Barrys, and I think maybe it was Richard Dunn brought in that period as well. Yeah. That's what Newcastle need to do. But in terms of building on top of that, the ceiling in the Premier League now is a lot higher than when it was back then. And for Newcastle to be successful now is going to be so much more difficult than what it was for City. But look, in the short term, I think it's a good fixture for Eddie Howe to get started, you know, at home, and what's going to be a packed out St. James's Park. You know, the crowd is going to get behind them from minute one. You don't know what Brentford is going to show up, because they haven't been on good form now, but they are the team that, you know, got that 3-3 against Liverpool that brought Chelsea right down to the last minute and would have beaten them, I think, if it wasn't for Edouard Mendy. But if they can shell shock Brentford in that first 5, 10, 15 minutes, I think they have the power to maybe get a 2-3 goal win, but then it's looking at next week and the week after that, and I don't think that's something that's going to last very long for Newcastle.
No. Is it, Corey, have you changed your opinions on Brentford yet, or are you still...
I'm going to have to start, aren't I, really? It's difficult when they do a job when you're at home and you watch them and you think, and we've obviously discussed Liverpool and Chelsea and how they identify weaknesses and things like that. I think they'll nick this one, if I'm honest. I just think because Newcastle's squad is so poor, and I think maybe Brentford will exploit the fact that, again, appreciate that Eddie Howe is a better coach than Steve Bruce, but there will be opportunities in that game while he's trying to bed in his philosophy. So I think they'll nick it. Newcastle's a weird one. I actually really like Eddie Howe. I know we had a discussion a while ago and you're kind of a little bit on the fence as to whether he's a good coach, but it's a definite upgrade. Yeah, and in terms of January, it's such an interesting thing, because obviously Matt was saying you can't go and bring in X, Y, and Z and you can't think of Europe already. You've got to... It's so strange, isn't it? Like at West Ham, we've had a similar thing where we wanted to go and jump to be a European club. And we spent £100 million in one summer, and half of those players, if not all of them, have been sold now. So you've got to go and pick the players that, whilst they're not the most glamorous signings, they just are the right type of players. And they're also the right type of mentality. I think you can get in that kind of golden sort of area where there will be championship players that might want to make the step up, that are hungry to go and do it. And I think that's maybe where Newcastle could look to exploit a bit. So, but yeah, I think the problem is obviously the fixtures coming up and the fact that the January transfer window is a month away still. And if they're still in trouble and they're still 5 points or 8 points or whatever it is adrift, that's a big ask. So yeah, it's a lot of hands to the pump, I think, for them lot.
Locks, what about this question here? Do you reckon Eddie Howe is going to be able to attract top players?
I mean, obviously he's a good manager. What he did at Bournemouth in the early days, especially, but I just find it's just really. I find it an uninspiring, an unambitious appointment. Really, I don't know if he is just there to steady the ship. I'm not sure. I don't know what I read something recently where they are looking at him long term, but they would say that obviously they're not going to, come out in the press and say that he's just there to steady the ship for now. So, yeah, I do think that. I mean, at Bournemouth, I don't really know what went wrong at the end. I think that year they got relegated, that was the year he spent the most money as well, right? He spent quite a lot of money.
Mate, some of the signings, Jordan Ibe, Dominic Solanke, that he paid like crazy money for as well.
But Solanke is returning it now, to be fair.
Yeah.
Solanke's?
Yeah, Dom Solanke has finally turned into that player that we all at Liverpool thought he could develop into. The problem is he's developed into that player in the Championship. He's banging them in for fun at the minute. Jordan Ibe was, Bournemouth bought the hype with he's going to be the next Raheem Sterling. Nah, no chance. Nathan Ake, he brought him in. The thing is, Bournemouth's ground was only ever something like 14,000. It was something silly. They had big investment, but the problem with most managers in the league, and it's right across football, when you're listening to the same voice over and over again for 5 years, it's going to wear players down. And players just stop listening, they tune out, So I think I thought Eddie Howe was a decent manager. He's not great. He won't get him into Europe or anything like that, but he's all right. He knows how to battle the side out of relegation. The problem is that Newcastle side really is as bad as everyone says it is. They really are porous at the back, and you're right about Alisson Maximin. He's great on FIFA, but he's 5-star weak foot it doesn't exactly translate to real life.
No, definitely not. I think he's garbage.
Oh God!
But there you go.
I don't get it. I actually rate him. That's the worst.
I know. That's what I mean. It's opinions,
yeah.
His opinions. Football's about opinions. I don't know.
It depends on what you want. He's not a 9. He's if you play him on the wing, he's quick enough and tricky enough to beat a fullback. His problem is mental, because he just wants to go back and beat the fullback again. And the fans love him for it. But you are where you are because you're not scoring enough goals. You don't press from the front. You don't defend high up the pitch, and your back four is a dross. So by the time the January transfer window comes up, there's going to be another 7 or 8 games gone. That's 20-odd points. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got Norwich after appointing Dean Smith. He could get on a run. Then that puts him last. The bottom 4, Sean Dyche is after finding a bit of form with Burnley. They could all pull away.
Let's go on. We'll talk about Norwich as well, Oscar. I'll come to you, obviously. I know it's very heavily relegation focused, it seems, at the moment. But do you think Dean Smith can get a tune out of Norwich, or just a bit like Newcastle? Although Newcastle have a better chance for me. Norwich's squad terrible for me, like terrible. So, do you think Dean Smith can get a tune out of them?
Yeah, no, I agree. Norwich's squad is not great. The only really 2 players I particularly rate are Aarons and Norman. And I think in a better team you'd get more out of those 2. I do think. I think there's a little bit of quality to those 2, but yeah, no, the recruitment's been a big letdown for Norwich. There's only so much you can do. I think there's certain things Dean Smith can improve. I think he can start by not encouraging Norwich to play out the back like Daniel Farke did, but you're just watching it and thinking you might as well ask a non-league team to try and play out the back in the Premier League, because that's as much technical quality as what Norwich have got. You can't ask Grant Hanley to start trying to play out the back under a high press and that, or Tim Krul or people like that, because you're just asking for trouble. You're putting yourself 1-0 down before the game's even kicked off. That's what Norwich were kind of doing to themselves. But I think, I don't think they'll break Derby's points record now. I'll say that much. I did think they were in big risk of doing that under Farke, to be totally honest, before that Brentford game. I think there will be a little bit of improvement, but to stay up, it'd have to be something that's beyond probably the greatest survival story of all time if Norwich do stay up from this point. What are they behind now already? 8 points off?
Let's have a look, mate. I'll tell you right now. So they are on
whatever it is, if they stayed up now, unless they do something mega in January, it would be one of the maddest survival stories we've had in recent years for me.
Yeah,
definitely be well up there. They look. The thing is, as well, they didn't even look that bad against us. I couldn't work out if they were playing okay or if we were playing terribly. We were rubbish, weren't we? I mean, if we'd have been at it, let's be totally honest, if we'd been at it for 90 minutes in that game, we'd probably win 4-1, don't we? 4-1, 5-1.
Kabak thought he was Van Dijk. Kabak genuinely thought he was Van Dijk.
Well, that's it. This is what I mean. Kabak, Hanley, don't ask him to play out the back. It's like, I'm not even a Norwich fan, but you're watching it and thinking it's cruel at this point, asking them to do it. It's from Daniel Farke. It's cruel asking them to do that. They can't do it. Just play to your strengths. Be a little bit more defensive if you have to. Play on the counter. I don't particularly rate people like Rashica or Zolis and that lot, but they will give you something on the counter attack. And at least give yourself a chance to be competitive in games. I don't think they'll be losing and getting battered every single week now under Dean Smith, but you're asking a lot there for me. Yeah. Unless they could do big things in January, get a striker in for starters. Pookie and Sargent are not it for me. They're not going to get you the goals. I mean, if you're relying on Sargent to get you goals if Pookie's out of form, then you're asking for trouble. But I still think Dean Smith has been brought in with a view to who's the best man to get us out of the Championship. I think there's a bit of thinking behind that as well. But
even that, right? And I will say this as well. Like even that, let's be real. Even at Championship, I don't think with that Brentford side, he finished in the top 6.
Then, he underachieved at Brentford.
And then Thomas Frank came in, finished in the top 6, and then got him promoted. Aston Villa, a lot made about, he came in halfway through, That squad was unbelievable. Unbelievable for the Championship. Tammy Abraham up front, John McGinn, Jack Grealish, Conor Hourihane. That was in the Championship. Mings. And so there's this thing that he's good. I don't rate him. I just don't rate him.
Do you think they're banking on... Do you think they've looked at what he's done with Jack Grealish? Look, I agree with Dean Smith in terms of he had a brilliant squad to work with at Villa. Getting them out of the Championship isn't his biggest thing in this CV, to be fair. But do you think they're almost looking at it and thinking, the way he improved Jack Grealish, can he do the same with Cantwell? Can he get the same improvement out of John McGinn with a Billy Gilmore, for example? Can he... Maybe that's what we're looking at.
The one thing I'd say about Dean Smith is I haven't watched enough of Villa. Obviously, you'd seen him in the Championship. Grealish, I only really noticed him when he come up, but he built a team around him and he knew his team's strengths. And the one thing you can say about Dean Smith is even with his coaching staff, he's bringing people around that. I think he brought in a set piece coach. Obviously, it didn't work, but he does understand, I think, how we can get the best out of the team. And we can debate whether he can get them back up if they get relegated, but he will work to their strengths. And he's got to sort the Cantwell situation out big time because in terms of creativity, he's there. Billy Gilmore's a fantastic player. The fact that he's not playing as much football as he should be is a problem. So who knows? If he can come in, galvanise, obviously there'll be a bit of a bounce and try something and just work to what they've already got, then maybe. But let's be honest, they're pretty much bankers. But I don't mind Dean Smith. I don't mind. I don't look at him as an awful coach. I don't think he's unbelievable. But he took Villa. They finished 10th last year, and I thought fair enough. If you look at some of their players, I don't think they're world beaters either. So I think you've probably got to give him a bit of credit there as well.
Yeah,
if you can get Gilmore and Norman in the same midfield, I do genuinely think there's a player in Norman. I thought against us, I thought he's got an eye for a pass. He's a decent player. If you can get those two in midfield, a bit of tenacity in that lot, and you give yourself a bit more of a chance, don't you? And then Cantwell, you can get him maybe, make him like their Grealish kind of thing. He's nowhere near a Jack Grealish, but make him be the player they play through, they look for every single time. Maybe they can nick the odd result, maybe at home against the bottom 6 or bottom 8 and give himself a little bit of a chance. But it's just too much of an ask for me still with Norwich.
Yeah, I think as a Leeds United fan, come January, if Cantwell or Gilmore are not in that side, then we should go. We should either move to Norwich and say we'll take Cantwell, whatever's gone off there. He's not been playing, he's not been training, so he's going to have to get up to speed. That's not going to happen overnight. So
Cantwell, really? You take Cantwell?
You know Cantwell's out of contract as well.
He's out of contract.
And West Ham are looking at him. So I think he's a player that I wouldn't write off at all. I think he could fit in maybe at Leeds. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where did he play for Leeds?
We've looked at him before, have we not?
Yeah, but we didn't go for him. That's the thing. That's what.
I think the figures that were banded about when they first went down was a bit mad. Unless it was just his agent talking, I don't know. I don't know Oscar, but we'll have to wait and see. But something's obviously not right there. It'd be interesting to see how Dean Smith gets on with Rashica, because I think he wanted him at Villa for a period of time as well. So he might look to him.
There's a player in there. He's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it
unfolds.
the
thing is, Ozan Kabak can't go around channeling his inner Joel Matip if you're bottom of the league. Do you know what I mean? He didn't do that when he was at Anfield.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And when he was there he was partnered with Reece Williams and with, let's face, Nat Phillips. Do you know, he looked a decent centre back. He did okay for us. You know, and he's better than what he's showing at Norwich. You know, they've got a few Irish lads coming through as well. So I'm hopeful for the likes of Adam Ida might start to get a bit more of a look in. There's another, Matt, can you think, what's the defender?
Balotelli.
I always struggle with his name. But he's actually he'd be really good in a back three. You know, if he wanted to switch it to a back five or a back three, because that's Norwich's problem. They can score goals on the counter, but they have to learn how to keep clean sheets. And Krul doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
No,
you know, even playing for the Netherlands, he's an accident waiting to happen. The poor guy. You know, I mean, he's nearly as old as me now, for God's sake.
Yeah, that I remember murdering his name in the Norwich preview, and then I watched the game and I got it right. Balotelli.
Yeah, that's the one.
He played at left back, I think, against Rafinha, and he got a bit of a torrid time.
Yeah,
to be fair,
he's only brand new. He only made it into the Irish squad this season, and he's looked really good in the Ireland setup. You know, when they've dropped him in and out. So I think in the back three he could do okay.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Let's just talk about
just one more thing on Norwich.
Go on, mate.
You let Buendia go, the player who's a star for them in the Championship, and you don't replace him. You've just got promoted. It's just. Have you ever seen such terrible, ridiculously naive planning from a club going into a Premier League season? We all called Norwich to go straight away, didn't we? Yeah. Just for that.
I think a lot's been made about the money that they've spent, Oscar. But like you say, I was listening to something not too long ago, and actually, the money that they've spent, whatever it is not. It's not more than what they recuperated. So it's still like they haven't gone for it. Do you know what I mean?
They brought in Lise Malou from France. He was in the France League Team of the Year last year, and he just. I don't know whether it's a case that he's got a hit. You know, he's just settling in period for him in the league. He's a decent box-to-box centre mid, and he's okay, but he needs time to bed into the league. And Rashica is another one. Sargent in Germany, when he was 3 years ago, he was going to be the next big thing coming out of the States. You know, all of these players were gambles. You know, all he needs is one of them to pay off, and they'll give themselves a fighting chance.
No,
I mean, they had to do it. They had to change the manager. I mean. That was just that had to happen.
That's fair. Different voice and that, and it looked like they were already resigned to the drop under him.
Yeah.
One team that's still got the manager, I still can't believe it, is of course Manchester United. They take on Wolves at the weekend. Do you know what? Right, there's a lot. I keep seeing the conversation, the rhetoric on Twitter, and all that sort of stuff. But for me, this man now is going to see the end of the season. And the reason that is because they've come through their bad patch in terms of fixtures. We spoke about it weeks before when we said they had Spurs, they had this, they had that. And for them to come through and be embarrassed the way they were against Liverpool and City, and for him to still have his job, he's not going to probably get a similar run in the Premier League or in the fixture list. I don't know without seeing theirs, but I'm trying to think. Like, he had obviously Atlanta twice in the Champions League. He then had Liverpool. He then had Tottenham, and he had, of course, City. I don't see him having another fixture group like that that's as difficult. So therefore, if he's kept his job after that, there's no way, Matt, that he gets the sack for me.
I mean, look, one consistent thing that I think we've seen throughout Solskjaer's time at United, which has probably been changed in that difficult run of fixtures they had is the difficult games were kind of the ones that they were coming through half decently. They had a few good wins against Manchester City for a while. They seem to always beat Spurs, and a few results against Arsenal. And it's been those kind of games against teams like the Crystal Palaces, like the Watfords who they're playing at the weekend, where they have kind of been struggling at times, and probably has been the difference between getting top four and not for them in a few of their recent seasons. If they have a period of 5 points out of a possible 18 or something like that against those teams, he's definitely gone for them. But it was the Manchester Evening News said they've decided to sack him, but they need to find a replacement first, and that is the reason. The reason that Tottenham brought in Nuno. There aren't many managers out there right now that can come into a team of that caliber. They're not going to Solskjaer.
Do you think, though, Matt, you can just sit on that? Because for me, they could get knocked out of the Champions League, for God's sake.
Oh, they absolutely can, and I don't for a second see them getting back into the Champions League. But look, this may be an unpopular opinion. I think Solskjaer gets maybe a bit more stick than he should, because he was brought into United to do a job. No, wait, let me say this out. He was brought into United to do a job. And the job that he was brought into was to stabilise that ship. They had
you're buying into the media, you're buying into the narrative.
He's trying to keep a link with Solskjaer here, but it's just similar to the Romano links. He's got links. He's got links for Romano, I reckon.
I still do not agree with this terrible rhetoric that he made everyone smile around the place. Give over all this talk about he got a second last season. You got second because of COVID, because Liverpool were in absolute... It was a false position. No, it was, bro.
No, I'm not. I'm just laughing at the hatred. I can feel it.
No, it was still like... And Gary Neville goes, well, he took us forward. He got a second. No, it was a false position.
Forget about Gary Neville.
No, but you're buying into that, bro, by going...
No, I'm not.
Made everyone smile.
Can you honestly say Manchester United right now are in a better or worse position than they were when they sacked Jose Mourinho in December of 2017, 2018, whatever it was? They're in a better position.
Was right when he said it was one of his best achievements getting to where they got in the league, and did they not win a trophy? As far as I know, Ole, they've not won nothing.
The only
Ole's actually lost more semi-finals than Fergie ever did at United.
The only reason it's perceived that he has stabilised them is because now they've got more of a complete squad. They've got a squad where people look at them and they expect them to be able to compete. But Ollie's always been poor for me. I've never fully understood it. He's always been out of his depth. They can't progress. And this season, and it's interesting what Matt says about some of those bigger games, he's actually reverted away from what's actually made him slightly successful. 4-2-3-1, sit a low block and counter-attack on teams, which I find nuts because Ollie must know his limitations. The fact that he's trying to play this weird pressing style, the fact they brought Ronaldo in and he doesn't know how to use him, and then now people are blaming him for not pressing from the front is crazy. Sancho's going to become a right wing back. It's bizarre, but that's the thing. But some Man United fans may say, well, Jose brought in a horrible attitude and an ethos, but even so, he still won them things. They were still competitive. It was only at the end it went sour. So it is a bit mad. I just feel that it's such a bored appointment. I don't know Manchester United and the intricacies of it, but clearly he's a yes man. You have to be, and they don't. And this is, if you're a United fan or Man United fan, this is where you'd really worry. They're not that interested. You've just been pasted 5-0 by Liverpool. You've been played off the park by Man City. They're not interested. Anyone that watched any of those games will go, there's something not right here. There's something not right. So, but yeah.
Sorry, Matt, I didn't let you finish, and I will let you finish, bro. I just want to say, because Temp Name said, let the man finish, and he also said he did get him second, so he's with you, and I think it's a madness. But did anyone see, before I come back to you, Matt, the Glazers interview when he was talking about Ronaldo, and he said, Ronaldo came to Man United when he was like 16-year-old. They were like, and so he come through the academy, and it was just brilliant. Because I thought they hadn't got a Scooby, man. I'll go back to you, Matt. Sorry, mate, for rudely interrupting you.
Not at all, Joe. There's one point that I think a lot of people kind of overlook with United over the last decade or so. And if you look at the squad that was left there by Sir Alex Ferguson, now on one hand you could look at it, just goes to show how utterly bizarre Alex Ferguson was as a manager to win the league with that squad. Compared to kind of what Arsene Wenger did at Arsenal, he left a very good squad behind him. He had brought in a lot of good players in those last couple of years. But then what you had with that United squad, you had Ferguson, the remnants of, like, you had a Raphael, a Phil Jones, a Michael Carrick, who's probably past his best at that point. You then had David Moyes come in for a year and try and make that his squad, and he brought in a few players and he let go of a few players. Then you have Louis van Gaal come in for a couple of years and he brings in his players. Then you have Jose Mourinho coming in and bringing in his players. That squad that Solskjaer inherited, and the point I'm trying to make is United are in a better position now than they were when Solskjaer came in. I don't for a second believe they're going to win anything under him, and I do think they need to sack him. But the job that he was brought in to do was to stabilise that ship, get them back in a position where they can begin to go on that upwards trajectory. And that squad now is more looking past the midfield problems, which I think were simply it was Ronaldo or a midfielder, and I mean that's a no-brainer there. I think that squad is more balanced, it has more structure, and it has better players that can push on and actually become something under a more competent manager. So I'm not saying Solskjaer is a good manager. I'm not saying he's the right man for Manchester United, but the job that he was brought in to do, and I think the job that he has done, especially with the contents of that squad, has put United on a better path than they were. And I think people are looking at the fact that he can't go and win trophies with them and using that to disregard what he has achieved at the club, because success isn't all his trophies. And yes, I'm a Tottenham fan, I'm going to say that. But I think Solskjaer has done a good job there.
Did you, Matt, can I ask a question? Do you think that Ollie was instrumental in bringing in a Sancho or a Ronaldo? Because for me, he doesn't know what to do with Sancho, and he definitely doesn't know what to do with Ronaldo other than to bail him out. So, whilst
I don't think,
he's
Corey,
a bit of a front man. Yeah, go on.
I don't think he's ever watched Sancho play football. Solskjaer.
Mate,
I think he just assumes that.
This is what I'm saying.
Because everyone's been. It's like he's never watched him play. It's like Sancho's best work was on the left wing for Dortmund. You know, whenever anyone's seen him play for England, at Dortmund, anyone, he's been on the left wing. Now he's been shoved on the right wing. You know, he had Guerrero, right wing, racing ahead of him. He's not got the same dynamic with Wan-Bissaka. It's like he's never watched him play football in his life, Sancho.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of a bit of the signing in principle, a young talent in Europe. He can play on the wing. It's what Manchester United want. It does make sense, but it's. I think Ollie just becomes a front man for that squad, and I don't know who's pulling the strings. For one period of time, it was an English core. I think it kind of still is with Sancho. Obviously, Maguire came in, Wan-Bissaka. They had Luke Shaw. I know he'd been there for a while. It's just a bit of a front for me. I think it's kind of and it's pacified a lot of Manchester United fans because they can get behind someone and they just couldn't get behind Mourinho. But it's not the way going forward. And I still think it's nuts they sing Ollie's at the wheel at most games. Yeah. Like, if they lose, the yellow and green scarves are out. If they win, it's Ollie's at the wheel. Make your mind up, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Did you see the video of their protest?
No, is it Saeed who's there?
You know what, mate?
There was no one there, bro.
Mate, you know, the club did a sale in the club shop for that day because they knew that obviously, some fans would be showing up. And a load of them went in and started buying stuff. There's the photos at the protest. They're holding gift shop bags, and it's like, mate, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's comical, mate. But apparently, they made a load of money, the club shop, that day, because they did a sale, and loads of fans went in. It's comical, mate. It is comical.
It is funny, man. Yeah, I love it. There's something else I wanted to say as well, and it's gone from my mind. But it's just really enjoyable at the minute. It's really enjoyable watching it crash and burn.
Time to worry about Manchester United, I was going to say, is when they go out and get a proper director of football, because I disagree with Matt. I don't think their squad is in any great shape at all. I think their midfield is tragic. I think Harry Maguire's a joke. Luke Shaw's had 6 months that's been good. Wan-Bissaka is bang average at best. De Gea's on 350 grand a week, and he's finally found a bit of form. But you've got half a dozen players on 100 grand a week that they can't shift. Donny van de Beek, what do you do with him? Who's planning on buying these players? Who brought them in? What were they planning on buying them for, or play? How were they planning on playing? Who made the decision to go and sign Ronaldo when they were screaming out to go and get Ndidi? You know, they have no plan. They have no structure to their buying whatsoever. And then Ollie puts the side out against us, plays 4-2-4. Good luck. In all fairness, if West Ham can manage to sustain their form and manage the last third of the season, unlike Leicester did with the Europa League, if West Ham can manage the last third of the season and manage Europe, they're banging for a top four finish. Yeah, banging for it, because Manchester United just aren't good enough.
I hope so. But it depends on Ollie's staying there, doesn't it?
West Ham, bro. Let's talk about West Ham. The next game, innit? So, top four, are you starting to believe? I know David Moyes battered it off a little bit, but do you still think it's a little bit out of sight, or are you starting to believe?
I believe that we can beat any team in the league after that Liverpool performance. I think that was a big test for us, and I think the fact that we won it with a good game plan that we executed perfectly indicates that on our day, first team, we can beat anyone. We've already beaten Man City, Man United in the cup, obviously, and Liverpool. So it's broken a ceiling, I guess, in that sense. It's such a long season, and listen, I think Wolves is a game that we have to win. Really, I know they're doing well this season, but if you want to go and be in that conversation for top six, absolutely. The concern is, beginning of December, it's just the amount of fixtures that we have. We've really got to get through that month before I can even start to say, okay, genuinely, we can sustain it. We can compete if everyone's fit for God knows how long. We see Mickey Antonio banging in 30-yard screamers midweek, so everything's looking rosy at the minute, but it's just dealing with the squad. And January, like I've always said to you, is a massive month, because if West Ham can go and get Lingard in, we can get a cover centre-back for a Bonner, maybe look at a striker, or definitely look at a striker, then I think we can sustain it. But credit to Moyes, we've already touched on it. He's managed Europe very well. He's managed the Cup very well, and it's a very well drilled and organised team. And it's the first time in my lifetime that people come into positions and they understand their role, and that's when you know you've got a side that are all in cohesion. So we're going in the right place, and I hope it continues. But there's so many different unknowns. Tottenham with Conte is a big one, particularly in January. We've obviously spoke about that. Arsenal, and listen, I've only really started to see Arteta's identity come through probably in the last month or so. They're a problem as well. So there's a lot to be thrown up, but we're in a very strong position. Momentum, coach, cohesion of the squad, stability. So it's all good, mate. Just get Jay Lings back to the bowl. I want him dancing in January when Benny's out for a month, because that's another thing as well. It lifts the stadium, it lifts the crowd. Obviously, it's been mad.
What's it like that, isn't it?
I tell you what. Do you know what's interesting? Actually, this week they were talking about West Ham's. Mate, I'll be doing it down there if he starts bagging screamers. I'm telling you now. I wasn't doing it when he scored against us, mind. I was head in hands. But look, at the end of the day, I think the way that West Ham are going about it, from what I'm hearing in January, is immediate signings: a Jesse Lingard, a Holacek from Sparta Prague, links that make sense. But I'm also hearing things regarding next summer. Free agents: Todd Cantwell's been linked, Belotti's been linked. That's where West Ham, if you want to be stabilising and competing for a European space, get those players in.
You need to go bigger, for me, than Belotti and Cantwell.
True, but true.
I still think you need to go bigger than that, personally.
I think we're kind of in that zone, though, where we are an attractive club because of what we built over 18 months, but we're not at that point where we can go and spend... I don't even think Moyes would do it, or there is a player out there for 40, 50 million that West Ham would go and buy. I still think it is tinkering and developing players. I just can't see under Moyes us going and saying, that's a banker for X amount of money. Zuma was the outlier, because Zuma was ready-made. He was perfect for the team. But I'm hearing links to Eddie and Nketiah, which for me, I can't understand how he would fit into a West Ham team at all. But Moyes is that type of manager, and in terms of recruitment. So
would he not make more sense than Belotti, in all honesty? I think Belotti, is he really... looking at the Euros, is he really going to... Say if Antonio got injured, would Belotti be that man? That's the question I guess I'd ask. If Ben Rama got injured, would Cantwell be that man to come in and really... I just think there'd be a big drop-off.
There would. I know what you're saying, going and buying a player that would go and improve us. I just think squad depth is still a problem at the minute. I think our first team's good enough, to be fair. Granted, it's not the best team in the top six, but in terms of performances, it is doing really well at the minute. I just think we need a squad. We really do need a squad. Belotti actually is interesting in terms of stats. He's very, very close to Mikel Antonio in terms of what he does. So that would be the closest you could get to it. But Moyes is also a manager that wants different looks in different games. Todd Cantwell doesn't immediately stick out to you as a player that West Ham need. But who knows? Moyes might sometimes play with a 4-3-3. He might look at that long term. So we've got to get Yarmolenko out, really. I know he's done okay for us in the past 6 months, but he's on a massive wage. It's just, we're still in a building phase, and I think Moyes just wants to build. So I can't question him anymore, Oscar. He can do what he wants, to be fair.
Locks,
get Phil Jagielka
in. No, yeah, draw the line at that. Mind you, brought Craig Dawson in, and look how he turned out.
Get Baines in at left back.
Much to your dismay, weren't it, Corey? Corey was like, this is atrocious, and then he got absolutely battered when he was player at season.
Well, I won't go that far, but yeah. Scored a couple of goals, a couple of other goals, and red cards, but yeah.
Locks, does it pain you hearing the likes of Spurs, Arsenal, and Hammers being talked about for top four potentials, and you're Just nowhere close. Do you agree with Corey that they could potentially skip Man United and squeeze into that top 4?
I don't think they'll finish top 4, but I'd have them for 5th. I think it doesn't pay me, to be fair, seeing West Ham up there because, like, as a Leicester fan, like, I love the underdog story, of course. You know, in every sport.
But like Man United last season.
That was an underdog. No, I didn't say underdog, did I? Although it would be an underdog story this year, that's for sure. They are an underdog at the minute, mate. But yeah, mate, I'm happy to see them. You know, especially obviously Corey, great guy. You know, so yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I've only started doing YouTube since we've been doing all right. I wonder what's going to happen if it all starts to go wayward. I'm going to be
Corey. It's the same at our end, isn't it, Oscar? We only did it when Bielsa came in. I don't know what's going when I'm going full Arsenal fan TV, going get this clown out of my club.
Oh, that's the thing. Like, I'll tell you what, it was toxic. You know, before Moisey and the upturn and we stayed up, it was bad. Like, it was really bad. Like, the concept for me would have been so negative. I think people would have switched off after a couple of minutes. So
let's just ask him there. Moyes with no fans for a year.
Oh,
that's really helped him because before COVID, you hated the ground. There was uproar and you didn't know which way you were going. You didn't have a plan for how the club was going. Then you got into COVID. Then there was no fans in the ground. And he had time. He didn't have fans on his back. That must have been a massive help to him to be able to bed down a system and a way of playing without the added pressure of after 20 minutes and you're not 1-0. You know, the fans were watching it from a distance and you could see the progress. So when you guys came back,
without Corey in the crowd going, yeah, my fucking clown.
He was on the pitch, Corey. He was the one that was on the corner flag.
The flag.
Yeah, my clown, you slag.
West Ham now remind me of Everton. They remind me of Everton when Moyes had them at his best. They're very organised. We saw it last when you beat us. You're very organised and you're very good at what you do. You're a very effective club. But I think all of that has come from the fact that Moyes has had time. When I don't believe he would have been given that time if the fans were in the ground.
I think it's funny you say that because when he first was let go by the club, it was effectively because we weren't playing a certain way. He did keep us up. It wasn't pretty, I've got to be honest. We brought in Patrice Evra, we were playing a back 5 every week, but he did keep us up in fairness to him. I think in the initial stages, that patience is what he needed. I think actually that break over COVID was an opportunity. The players were a lot closer. To be honest, it only really clicked when we beat Chelsea 3-2. It was the only time I started to see things. And again, you are right. Moyes didn't have the pressure on his back, but I think sometimes in the media, they're a bit too on us to say that West Ham fans were the reason why we were so poor. I think if anything this season, when we've been there at home, away as well, we've been unbelievable and we've driven the players on. And I think, to be honest, in terms of expectations of the players, I think this is where Moyes is fantastic. Talk about him tactically in systems and recruitment, but he's got a very hard-working team. And I think that's all West Ham fans really want.
That's why it reminds me of Everton.
Yeah. And I think, very he's been incredible. Like, honestly, it's not, when you watch West Ham, if I picked out a clip from 18 months ago, it was very basic, very much we were a counter-attacking team, let's be honest, for the first 6 months of last season. And now you just continually see progression. And that's exciting as well, because it's not like Moyes is sitting there saying, you know, we'll keep West Ham in the league and we'll stabilise them. He's thinking, we'll build and we'll improve. So he's got the right mentality for West Ham as well.
The big challenge for West Ham, from what I can see, is what Leicester went through when you lose a Declan Rice. Like when Leicester lost to Harry Maguire, because you will. You know, he's going to want to go. Eventually, he is going to ask
Chelsea
to go.
bound, didn't he?
Do you know what though? It will. You're right. He's too good. He has to go and play Champions League. Yeah.
That's the real test.
It's a nightmare.
Leicester have been through it, so you know it's the same for any club. We went through it for years with Suarez, with Coutinho, when all these players, when we were the stepping stone club. You know, we were the stepping stone club for Barcelona and for other clubs. And, you know, we're looking at it now thinking, well, how's the grass on the other side of the fence, Gini Wijnaldum? How's the grass for you, Phil Coutinho? You know, it's...
Kev, I remember when we were the stepping stone club for the likes of Burnley and Norwich. So,
your stepping stones get bigger as you progress.
Yeah.
Up the food chain. Let's talk about Rafinha.
I was going to say on that point of Moyes really quick. he's of course doing an incredible job at West Ham. And if you want to compare it to Brendan Rodgers, I think the reason that things have started to work out a little bit quicker for Moyes, perhaps in the same sort of period when they're not working for Rodgers, is Moyes has that experience of being, a manager of a team maybe just outside that top four, just outside that top six, getting into Europe and having to manage that squad at Everton and to some extent at Real Sociedad as well. Whereas with Brendan Rodgers, he's either been Swansea at the bottom of the league or Liverpool, Celtic at the top of the league, where he's had the best and biggest squad. And with Celtic, Europe wasn't a problem because they were out in the playoffs every year. But I think that experience for Moyes at Everton and in Spain, I don't think can be underestimated in the way he's managing to kind of bring everything together at West Ham.
I'll just say one thing, Matt. He definitely didn't have the best squad at Liverpool. He inherited this squad with, Colo Torre and Fabio
that front three, I think, makes any squad immediately 100 times better.
I don't want to dig out Rodgers because obviously he's a very, very good coach. But I just, when you watch some of his sides, when they get to that final part, obviously not to the extent of Tottenham, but they kind of just fall a little bit and struggle. Whereas I kind of look at this West Ham team and particularly against Man City or Liverpool, none of our players look phased. No. That's the strange. Normally, I'm used to seeing us go 1-0 up and go, right, we're going to panic it. I don't know what he's done with that team, but I think Pablo fallen out.
They trust the shape.
That's a huge part. They trust the system. They know what they're doing. So it's a weight off the shoulder.
I did a pod after the Liverpool game, and I pulled up the stats for the first half, and we had something like 65% of the ball. And we only had 65% of the ball because West Ham allowed us to have that. They were saying, look, we're 1 up. Come and break us down. And West Ham were comfortable in that. And as soon as we got it back to 1-1, it was like, right, we're going to come out and play now. And they did. And they tore us a new one for about 20 minutes. They got 2-1 up, and then they set back again. And that's the thing with how West Ham are now. They're so comfortable and they're so trusting in everything what Moyes has set up. They know it doesn't matter who the player is. They all know the jobs within that system. And that's why I think they're such an effective club this season. Yeah, I like Manchester United because I look at it. But this is where I look at West Ham and Manchester United. Manchester United have no structure and they have no plan. And once they go 1 down, it's hell for leather. And Ronaldo might bail them out more often than not. But
everyone's smiling though.
Do you know what? Sometimes when you have the top teams, you have Man City and Liverpool, and they have a certain way of playing. They don't need to change because the quality will work. But West Ham aren't that type of team. And I'll always remember us playing Leeds first half. You played us off the park. The whole game plan was wrong. We were just too open. And West Ham are this team, and I've seen it a lot of times this season. I did it on my channel. We go in at half time and we change the shape, and Moyes rectifies it. And the players are capable of changing that shape very quickly. And that's where we stay in games, even games where we haven't played well. West Ham haven't been amazing this season, but we've just tweaked it at the right moments, and it's worked. And that's because the players understand their role, but they're very versatile. Look at where Declan can play. He can play deep. He can play more advanced. Mickey can drop deep. He can be a target man. He can get in behind. Just Pablo Fornals, you don't even really know what position he is because he can just play the 10 or on the left. So it's just a good blend. It's a good blend of everything. I'm enjoying it, all right? I'll just milk it for what it's worth, all right?
Yeah, do it. Let's, before we move on to the big one on Saturday at Liverpool Arsenal, I just want to give a shout out to someone in the chat. More Master 4. The English League. He's so deluded that West Ham want to sign. Wait there, there's more. Talk more football like La Liga or Serie A. He says, fans around the world are still laughing at English fans since it's coming home chance overhyped Prem England fans. Even West Ham talk like they're going to win the Champions League. I obviously say, if you want real football, watch La Liga and stop this hype. What I will say,
how did that work out for Atletico?
This is what I'm saying. Mo Master, just hate, bro, because guess what? Come Qatar, we winning the thing, man. We winning the thing. I'm telling you, 2 semi-finals and a final next off the line. Gareth Southgate's going to win the World Cup.
That was going well, Joe. That was going well. You were calling him out for that crap.
We are going to win Qatar. We are going to win it.
It's coming home, boys. It's coming home.
We are, aren't we, Oscar?
Well,
I'm convinced.
Right. Imagine, like, some of these teams in that heat, like Italy, if they get there. Imagine Jorginho and all that lot in that kind of heat. Cheerleading. But they're all old men. They're going to be absolutely horrific in Qatar. In that kind of heat, they're going to really struggle.
Are you telling me players from England are going to manage in the heat better than Italians?
Better than
yes.
That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
Right.
We're all tasty
Look at
boys,
the
man.
age of that Italy team. Look at the age of that Italy team, Matt, and tell me that they won't cope better with people like Bellingham, Phillips.
The thing that
Rice.
Italian team has is a competent manager. That's their first thing that's going to
Well,
bring them in a
that
good
competent
direction.
manager that's got them through automatically to the tournament. Yeah, that's
There's
what's
too much
happened.
disdain
Go back
for
and score
Gareth
10 goals
Southgate.
against Sam
As an
Marino.
English fan, he has given me my best times as an England fan. Two semi-finals
that
and
hard,
a final. You can't deny. You can't reject what's in front of you, regardless of what's being played. Tournament football, he's got it boxed off.
Do you know what I like, actually? I'll tell
That
you
sort of comment is the same reason that people laugh at Spurs fans for the last 10 years. Oh, we got to semi-final, Poch is the best manager ever. That's the same mentality. You can't laugh at Spurs
yes,
for
it
saying
is,
Southgate's
it is.
bad.
Club, no, it's not. It's club
It is.
football's different, man. Nah, that's
Yeah, but
come
Matt,
on, Will.
We've had Southgate's had 2 tournaments. He's got to a semi-final and a final. Pochettino, how long did it take him to get it going? You can't praise Solskjaer like you have before, and then have a go at Southgate for doing the exact same thing.
No,
but even
I'm
he's
saying
actually
Southgate's not
achieved
going to win
something.
you the World Cup. If anything, that's the same argument I made with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's not going to win you a World Cup. He's the reason you're not going to win it.
But Southgate was a penalty away from winning England the Euros.
Yeah.
Didn't win it though. Spurs were a penalty away from winning the Champions League. Didn't win it.
No, they weren't. You got beaten one more time by Liverpool. You got battered in the final.
That is
Turn up.
that is the least accurate thing that has ever been said on this channel, and it's Joe.
It was the limpest Champions League final performance I've ever seen, and I'm not messing around now. It was embarrassing, that Tottenham performance in the final. Harry Kane wasn't fit.
We dominated that game because Liverpool got an
You
early goal and
dominated
parked
the game.
bus.
What
Oscar,
did you do in
no.
that game? You got battered in it.
I can't do this.
It was an embarrassment, right? It was an embarrassment to make a final. We all know you took Ajax's place in that final and you wasted it. Everyone wanted to see Ajax in that final. They didn't want to see Tottenham, did they?
Hey, there you go, love it. Right, let's move it on anyway because Matt's steaming there and letting boil up for the Spurs Leeds chat. But let's talk about Liverpool Arsenal. Do you know what? I'm going to say Arsenal make the top 4. I've been really impressed with, serious. They would be out of the West Ham, out of the Spurs. Arsenal would be my pick based on current form. I love what Arteta's doing there. I love Ben White. I love Emile Smith-Rowe. I just think they look decent, man. They look really decent. Partey's playing well as well. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I know our friend Don Hussam has come out and said that they'll batter Arsenal 4-0, 4-1. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think this could be pretty tight. We'll leave Kev on ice, but I'll come to the rest first of all. Locks, how do you see this one going? I think it's like previously I'd have said Liverpool walk this, but the way Arsenal are at the minute, I think they've got a big chance in this.
Yeah, there's no doubt in that. Obviously, they're on unbelievable run of form. I think it will be a tighter one than what Don Hussam saying. I think personally, I was going to go for a 2-1 Liverpool win. I still think Liverpool will win. I think I'll have enough to get the 3 points, but it'll definitely be tighter. I don't see him finish. I think it will still fall apart. I just refuse to look at any Arsenal team now and say they're going to keep this form going until the end of the season. I just don't see it. I know they look like they've come on leaps and bounds, 100%. There's no denying that. But I don't know. I just think they're still going to lack something. Maybe, I don't know, whether it's the mentality, whether it's the quality. I'm not sure. But, yeah, this weekend, mate, 100%, it's going to be tighter than in past fixtures. And 2-1 Liverpool win for me. Salah to continue, mate. Continue his bloody absolute heroics.
He's not even the best right winger in the league anymore, anyway. So he needs to improve.
Oh yeah,
I'm joking.
You went to put Rafinha, didn't you, in the right wing in Team of the Season? You did.
No, I didn't, man. I had Salah up
You
top.
did.
Yeah, because I had Salah up top. Man.
I'll tell you who wasn't in there. I'll tell you who wasn't in that Team of the Season. Jamie Vardy. Because he's still in Lee Cooper's pocket now.
Yeah, actually, you're talking about
mate,
that, man.
we got cheated out of a penalty, mate. I'm not having that. A red card. It should have been a red card.
Give it over. Leicester are garbage. You're getting relegated, mate. Oscar, what are your thoughts with Liverpool Arsenal?
Really good game. I mean, to be honest, I mean, normally you look at Arsenal here and you just expect them to absolutely collapse and get battered, like Hassan was saying, but I just think this Arsenal team, they've got a real characters now in that team. Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, Partey, Gabriel, they've got fighters in that team now. They're not as technically sound as like an Arsene Wenger Arsenal team in that kind of sense, but I still look at them now and think, yeah, they can play out the back. Ben White has got the quality to, cope with Mane pressing him or Firmino pressing him or Jota, whoever it is pressing him. You can cope with that, and I think they can keep the ball. But against this Liverpool team, it's still a big ask. I think Robertson picked up an injury, I think, in the international break. In some ways, this might sound ridiculous, but it actually gives Liverpool an excuse now to put Tsimikas in. I think Tsimikas has probably played better than Robertson. I'm not saying he's the better left back. I just think he's played better than Robertson this season. And I think it gives them a real outlet from the left in terms of creativity to match Trent and really balance it out in that sense. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard for if Arsenal get something there. I think, you've got to say they probably are getting close to that real deal kind of status. But I still think no matter what happens in this game, I don't think it proves anything for or against Arteta. If they lose this game heavily, it's still a top Liverpool team that played. And you've got to remember, they've got no European football, Arsenal. I still think that's going to really tell. I think for West Ham, Man United, if they stay in the Champions League, who else is around there? Tottenham, with obviously Conte coming in, they've still got that Thursday night football. I think as the season goes on, that'll really tell, and that'll really play to Arsenal's advantage. Whether it'll be enough for them to finish top four, even if Arsenal aren't as good as the other 3 or 4, performance-wise, it will still tell, I think, at times this season.
Great shout, mate. Definitely with the European stuff. Matt, does it pain you hearing us speaking glowingly about Arsenal again?
I know it's not going to last, though. I'm actually quite enjoying it. I get to see them being built up, and we get to see them suffer. I think they're in trouble in this game of the weekend, and I think they're going to make the same mistake that, to be honest, Tottenham have made quite a bit against Liverpool in the last couple of years. And I think Lego Pep is going to go out and he's going to try and bring the game to Liverpool, and he's going to try and attack them and play their own football, and that's when they get caught in the counter attack.
Lego
Pep. He's got hair like a Lego man. Oh, you've heard that before, Pep. No, I think Liverpool catch him in the counter attack time and time again, because he's going to try prove a point that he probably doesn't have to prove, because they've been playing so well lately. Everyone knows they're not as good as Liverpool. I think he's going to go too offensive, and I think Liverpool catch him out for 3 or 4.
Oh wow! Just before we get Kevin Corey's thoughts, Luke says, "Super chat, thank you, mate." He says, "Average temperature in Qatar in December is 76 degrees Fahrenheit." I don't know what we don't do Fahrenheit. What do? We do Celsius, don't we?
Well, I'll tell you something.
I know Luke's from the States. What's 76
Jude Bellingham
Fahrenheit in
it's about 22.
22. Oh wow.
Jude Bellingham and Phillips will cope in that heat better than Chiellini and Bonucci in the mid-30s. I'll tell you that much. No matter what Matt tells you.
Yeah. Just while I want to shout out my man Oscar here as well while we're on, because Mo Masters says, "I need to speak with Joe. I need a La Liga channel on this." Well, you'll be happy to know that our man Mario down there, Oscar Mario, has set up a new La Liga channel called Javiesta TV. The link is in the description, just like everyone else's channels as well. So make sure you go over and subscribe and like their videos and watch them. But if you're wanting something La Liga specific, then your man Oscar can take care of you. Someone's put more like Luigi. It is actually, because you are tall.
I can build a brand now, can't I?
You are really tall. You could pull off a Luigi. Get a green hat.
I need to, don't I?
Yeah, definitely.
Forget the Freddie Mercury stuff. Let's go for Luigi now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love that. Corey, thoughts on Liverpool, Arsenal?
Yeah, I gave Arteta a bit of credit, because probably for the first time since he's been there, I'd take the FA Cup run out of it. They look like they have an identity. They look like they've built very well. I think Ben White's been fantastic for them. And there is an argument that they will be competing for the top 6. I just don't feel that they've been tested to the level that Liverpool are going to test them. And I feel that that's where we'll know where they're at. I think Liverpool will be too strong for them. I genuinely just feel that if Arsenal want to go and press Liverpool, they're going to get found out. They're going to play in behind. They're going to find the spaces. They're going to get ripped open. And even players like Ben White, you look how he progresses out from the back and carries it into midfield. if Liverpool try and press him from the front and he loses the ball, again, there's a straight turnover there. So I just feel that Arsenal aren't good enough to win this game. I think it'll be a 2-0. If I'm honest, I just feel they'll be too good. I think Liverpool will be too comfortable and they'll create a lot.
Do you not think though, Corey? Just before we come to Kevin, he can tell us why Liverpool are gonna batter Arsenal. But do you not think though? I feel a bit harsh on Arsenal because all I keep hearing is he's yet to be tested. He's yet to be tested. He's yet to be tested. And it's like, oh, Tottenham is yet to be tested. Brighton, this will be a test. And they drew. They've got Leicester. That'll be a real test. And then he wins that. And then it's like, but isn't Liverpool a test for everybody in the league? Like, at which point do we actually say, do you know what? No, he's doing a good job.
Okay, I think when we're starting to talk about Arsenal was getting into the top 4, we have to say that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, look. I mean, a draw against Brighton 0-0. I don't think for who Arsenal are as a club is a hugely positive result. And in that game, obviously, Brighton dominated the ball. I think Villa are in incredibly poor form. Tottenham were absolutely horrendous. Yeah. Leicester have been poor this season. They've been on and off, and Leicester dominated the second half. For me, if I'm going to start saying they're going to be competitive, given what I've seen from West Ham and a couple of other teams, I need to see them go and get some kind of result against Liverpool. If they get a draw, again, with the progression that Arteta can show them, particularly throughout the season, without European football, which is a huge plus for them, then maybe. But I need to see more, because all I hear from Arsenal fans is we should be in the top 4, we should be here and there. And I just personally don't see it yet. So you've got to go and show me something in one of these games. Maybe I'll spend too much time with Lee. I just can't give him any credit.
It's rubbing off, mate.
It's rubbing off.
I suppose you're right, though, because I look at the draws and Crystal Palace in good form, they draw. Brighton in good form, they draw. The rest you've just mentioned are in great form. So there is probably something in that, mate. But you're right. But Kev, Liverpool going to wipe the floor with Arsenal, or do you see this as a bit of a tough test?
It could go either way. We've done it before with Arsenal when they've come to Anfield and smacked them for 4 inside 20 minutes. And if they turn up and decide, we're going to play out from the back, and fine, I really hope they do, that'll play right into our hands and we'll tear to shreds. If they've learned from their mistakes in the past, and Arteta has to have learned, he can't be this dumb, that he will tell them to go along and play into the wings and play from midfield up. They're a good side. There's a strong argument that Arsenal won the transfer window. They've bought well in the summer. The players that they've bought are actually starting to look like, they've been well worth it. Tomiyasu has been a fantastic buy for them. Getting rid of the likes of Bellerin out of the club was well needed. The fact that they're not in Europe, they have time to work on the training pitch, work on shape. That's good. That's all well and good. We've been in poor. That game against West Ham for us has been coming. The fact that we were unbeaten hit a lot of our problems this season. Alisson has saved us so many times this season in games that we could have drawn or lost. That Mo Salah aside, Sadio has been back to his normal self, but we've tinkered with Trent. His position has changed. His role in the side has changed this season, and we're struggling to get the balance right of going forward and defending. And Brentford found it out really well. I still think we beat Arsenal. I'd be devastated if we don't beat Arsenal at home. They're a good side, but we need to start getting back to clean sheets if we are going to be serious title contenders this season. And it has to start this weekend. We need to be winning this 2-3-0. I couldn't care less about the performance. I don't care about stylistically. At the minute, we need to start getting back on a run, and we need 3 points at the weekend. And I don't care how we do it.
Yeah.
If Liverpool can stop Smith Rowe, if Fabinho wins that battle against Smith Rowe, Liverpool win the game. I think it's just a case of stop Smith Rowe. I think that's the key battle for me. Smith Rowe against Fabinho.
Well, for me, for our midfield 3, hopefully, it's going to look like Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago, with Jota, Salah, and Mane up front. Tsimikas, Virgil, Joe Matip, and Trent at the back. Alisson and goal. No, if
That's the
not good enough,
strongest starting 11 in the league for me.
I don't think that midfield three has ever started for Liverpool. I want them to be corrected, but I'm pretty sure that Henderson, Fabinho, and Thiago have never started as a three. Or if they have, it might have been off the bench or something like that. It's we've been waiting for this to come for a long time, and Bobby's a miss. We're going to be missing Bobby until January, maybe mid-December to January. Harvey hopefully be back in the new year. Naby's still out. Curtis Jones was really lucky, apparently. That training ground injury that he had with his eye was something that Klopp said to LFC.com today, and it stood out to me. And it said he got his sight back now. I was like, what? Apparently, he lost the sight in one of his eye for a period of time. You know, so he's away. Naby's away. Jimmy Milner, he's not back full training. So our midfield is a bit threadbare. You know, I think Ox is the only one that comes into that midfield now at the minute. And we've got a lot of games coming up. So our squad, that first 11 might look good, but that first 11, when the step down comes in, is threadbare. I mean, our cup game against Leicester coming up is, I don't fancy us. We can rest players in Europe to a point. It's more for us now. It's more important than anything that we don't allow City or Chelsea to get a run. You know, we have to keep on their coattails at the minute.
Definitely, for sure. And on moving on to Sunday, obviously, Man City face Everton. Everton no wins in 5. I've just been having a look at Everton's fixtures as well. I think they get beat at the weekend by City. They then got Brentford, Liverpool, Arsenal. So it wouldn't surprise me if we might see the end of Rafa very, very soon. You know, I don't know if anyone would disagree with that. I know
missing Decore. Decore is a huge miss for them.
Yeah.
You know, I think he could play at any top club anywhere in the country. He's an absolute monster in the middle of the park when he's on it. You know, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's out there. Rafa had a good start, but it was always going to happen. You know, if he comes to the game against Liverpool, and for example, say we get 2-3-0 up and we start singing our Rafa songs, he'd be gone off. He'd be gone after that.
Oscar said that a while, and it's conceivable they get beat on Sunday. They might struggle against Brentford, and then they've got Liverpool, and that could be curtains. No wins in 8 then at that point, you know what I mean? So it could be curtains. So we'll have to wait and see. But we'll leave that one there. Let's touch on the biggest game of the weekend. It's
a big game.
Yeah, Spurs versus Leeds United. Oscar, how are you feeling ahead of this one, mate?
Less positive than what I would have been if Nuno was still in charge. I've already said that to Matt. If we can get something from the game, I think it's massive for us. I think there's certain ways we can get at them. I think we already said about the back three. Romero's out. Sanchez, Dyer, Davis. We can get at that. For me, I'm confident enough to say, even if Conte has them really compact and tight, we'll still get one-on-ones. Rafinha, James on the counter, I think can certainly stretch the pitch and cause problems in that way. Whether Bamford's back or not, I'm not sure. Obviously, we're doing this before the press conference. If Bamford's back in and we can get 20 minutes out of him at the end of the game, that'd be a massive for us. But we can get something from the game. It's massive. These kind of games won't define our season. I still don't think that. I don't think as massive pressure on us going into it. I think we can enjoy the game. I think we will dominate the ball. To be honest with you, I think we have got the qualities to do that. It's just what we do with the ball. And obviously on the counter attack, we saw last time against Tottenham. We lost the game 3-0, but it wasn't a 3-0 game. I think even Matt would agree with that. I think it was just one where we made a slight mistake, and Son and Kane combined. And as I've already said to Matt as well, that Mane and Salah for me are the only two in terms of duo in the league that I think combine better than Kane and Son when they're on it for me, in terms of who can really, really hurt you. I do think Kane and Son will go up another level under Conte. Certainly Son will. Obviously Kane's been stat padding in recent weeks, but look, obviously the way he took the goals, we've got to say that. I know it's not great opposition he's played against, but fair play. The way he took the goals, especially in the home game for England, were absolutely superb. So you give him a chance, he will score it. But there's still ways we can get at that Tottenham team. I still think it's a work in progress. It's better to play them now than it is after the January window. I will say that much.
Yeah.
I'd rather play them now than the middle of January when Conte's had a bit more time to work on it. Maybe now's an opportunity. Everton took a result off them, and Everton have been poor for the last couple of weeks. So there's a chance. We've got a chance going into the game. Rafinha, if he's on it, can cause big problems. And then Lloris, he's got a mistake in him too. So I'll give us a chance in the game. I'll say that much, but we can get something that'd be absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, for sure. I think Bamford's out, mate. From what I'm seeing and hearing, Junior Firpo, Joe Geldart were back training with the main group along with Lewis Bate, but no mention of Bamford. So Bamford looks like he's still out. So it'll be Rodrigo and James or whoever leading the line. Locks. I'll come to Locks, actually. Sorry, it's been a while. I need to remember who I've gone to.
It's all right, mate.
Like, they'll be sat there quiet thinking, is he going to come to me or what? Sorry. Do you, I mean, I know a lot's been made about Kane and his scoring against Farmers or whatever the people say, but surely, regardless of who it's against, do you think there's a case we might see Kane hit a bit of form now in the league? Because he's been woeful this season for Spurs.
Matt, am I allowed to talk about Tottenham, mate? Am I allowed? Is it all right? Because last time I was obsessed. So you and Elena, eh? But no, mate, I think
you weren't. Yeah.
But no, I think obviously any team that Conte walks into, they're going to improve, especially when you're going from that jump, Nuno to Conte. There's going to be an improvement, especially defensively. But I think when you've got a big manager like that, he'll be able to get a bit of form out of Harry Kane. Like Harry Kane, it's not like this run of form is happening 5-6 years ago. I think it might have even been longer when he was first started banging them in for Spurs. When I think even in the early days, that first season when he was banging them in for Spurs, people were one season wonder, as people do with the new kid on the block. But this is top 2, top 3, strikers in world football, and this isn't. He can get out of this, whether he down tools because he wanted to move to Manchester City or not. I personally don't think he did do that. People will argue, but he's definitely, he's a world-class player, one of the best in the world. So he can definitely turn this around. And, the longer, because Spurs made the change in managers so early in the season, it gives them plenty of time to turn the season around. So, 9th place isn't that bad, at this stage with now that they've got Conte. And Son and Kane, if they're linking up like we've seen them in the past, you can beat anyone. So I do think Tottenham will win. I'll probably go for 2-0 Spurs win. I don't think. Well, mate, I remember 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, you and Oscar, well, not as much Oscar, it was more you, Joe. You were saying, Leeds are back, we're back. And I was like, mate, you played Leicester. Honestly, mate, you're not back. Trust me. And as I said,
this is the Leicester Locks that you think is going to finish in the top 4.
No, I don't.
Well, you can't. You've got to bet. Well, it's well known on Before the Whistle blows that you took a bet at the start of the season. You've had 4 chances to cash out, and you've not took it.
I don't want to cash out. That's why. I don't want to, But no, mate. I think I don't, like I said, you're not going to be relegated. I think you'll be clear of that. But I think Tottenham will do this weekend. So 2-0. Play that back for Elena.
You're just salty after I said we're back. That's all. I thought
that's the only time you'll catch me. That's the only time you'll catch me on here praising Tottenham a little bit. But I think they will win.
Okay. We'll wait and see. I think one positive we've got, Corey. Obviously, I know we've all mentioned about Conte, but a lot of the players have been away on international duty. So the players that were there, Matt will tell us a little bit later on. But as a Leeds fan, I was like, oh, he's got the international break to get into them. But then a lot of them are away, aren't they? So do you reckon have we seen an instant uplift or? What are your opinions on it?
It's going to take a while, isn't it, for Conte and Spurs? It's probably his most difficult job, if I'm honest. I know he has got some brilliant players there. I think a lot of people do forget. We spoke about Kane, Son, and Ndombele. If he gets a tune out of them, there'll be a proper team. But I think they'll be all right. I don't think the international break, unless Kane's knackered from battering San Marino, I'm not quite sure. I think he'll be all right. I think they'll be too strong for Leeds, but at the same time, I think if Leeds can play how they have played last season, and there's that energy, particularly in that midfield area, I think they're playing Højbjerg and Skip at the minute. So
both out, man. Both out. I think
both out.
Højbjerg's not out.
Are you sure he missed the Denmark game?
He was just resting.
Okay, but Skip's out.
Yeah. So what I mean is essentially, if you can get that energy in that midfield with your midfield three, if it's there, then maybe you can create something. Rafinha's in unbelievable form as well. So, and you've always got a moment of brilliance to rely on. So it's not impossible that Leeds couldn't get a result. I just think I'm interested to see what Conte's team look like now. I appreciate they've been away, but he's had a little bit more time in training. The players are back. They understand what they're being asked to do, and the problem will be is when he gets that defensive side, when they look so well drilled and organised and they can counter on teams, and then that will be the issue. So, yeah, I think Tottenham, just because of the quality, they'll be a bit too strong, but I wouldn't rule it out for Leeds. Marching on together and all that, you know.
Yeah, legend, man. Legend. Up the irons. Yeah, well, we have got the best right winger in the league, and Adam Forshaw. Adam Forshaw played really well against Leicester, and that'll mean we'll have a resemblance of a midfield. So I think we might be all right. Kev, what are your thoughts on?
The thing is with Conte, I don't know, because he's very wedded to this 3-4-3. Now going forward, he's got Bergwijn, Son, Kane, Gill to come into that. That's fine. He's got a good wing back in Reguilon, and the other side, the guy they brought in, I think, what was his name, Matt?
Emerson Royale.
Yeah, Royale. He's hit and miss. He's still got a bed in. The middle of the park is where this game would be won and lost, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see Leeds do a number on him because that 3-4-3 system that he plays is really intense, and it's very difficult. And it's very early. They weren't at it really against Everton, and Rafa set Everton up not to lose. Bielsa won't do that. He's incapable, and that's Bielsa's flaw. His biggest flaw is his refusal to adapt. But I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Leeds got a point at least, and if not a win, because remember, this is still the same squad of players. They've got 3 managers to sack at Spurs. You know, there's three managers on the bounce who've got the chop because of players downing tools and can't be bothered, can't be arsed running. You know, and if anything, Conte is such an intense manager and such an intense character, he won't tolerate that nonsense. And he'll bin as many of those players out as he can to get his philosophy and his way of playing across. And if that'll start in January and it'll go into next summer. And there's a massive project to go on at Spurs. They're a country mile off where they were in 2019. And Leeds, to be fair to Bielsa, the players know exactly their roles within the squad, and they should be going to a Tottenham where they are unbalanced. They aren't at it. They're still learning, and go and get something. They should be confident in their ability to do that. I'd be surprised if they don't.
Good man, Kev. Love to see that. Go on then, Matt. Talk to us.
Yeah, look, we're going to be good in the future, but right now we're not that great. I think that is the be all and end all of what's going on now with Antonio Conte. And I said it to Oscar earlier, if this does come down to, like Kev alluded to there, with an intense game where we're relying on fitness, Leeds have the better of it. Leeds are better than us than that, because like we had 14 players on international duty over the last couple of weeks. We had some key players back at Hotspur Way, and Ndombele was doing double sessions with Conte for the entire 2 weeks. We had Eric Dyer, who unfortunately is going to be a key part of our defence in this game on Sunday. There are players like that who I think we're lucky stayed back, but then you've Harry Kane and his stat padding. Son, he missed the game with a knock over the international break. Højbjerg, like you said, missed the game. Skip's out. Romero's out. It's going to be a very tough one for us. And as Mo was alluding to there in the chat as well, Conte just wants to keep a clean sheet. And that game against Everton on Sunday was absolutely abysmal because, like you said, Benitez didn't want to lose. Conte went out onto that pitch to keep a clean sheet. Now, granted, it worked, but we had absolutely nothing going forward. And I think that 3-4-3 will change in the coming weeks. I don't know if it'll change now because I'm not sure we have the player to put in that number 10 spot. In Dembele, he's not consistent enough. Lo Celso was abysmal playing at club level for us. And we've a lot of good attacking players, but they're all wide players that do better out there. So I think it will be a 3-4-3 until we can get to January and invest in a number 10. And then what we're missing there is any bit of link up between the defence and the attack, because we started to see some good patterns of play in our defence in that game against Everton, where previously we'd be launching the ball up the pitch and hoping Lucas can win a header or run onto the end of it. We started to pass the ball out from the back, but what happened was when we got that ball into Højbjerg and Skip, they don't have the know-how. They're incredible at the job they do, but that job isn't to progress the ball forward. We're missing that Moussa Dembele play. We're missing what we thought Tanguy and Dembele would be, and just not having that is going to be detrimental to what we do try and do. The best way I can put it across is we haven't had a shot on target in the Premier League since the 44th minute against West Ham. So that's the entire second half against West Ham, the entire game against Manchester United, and the entire game against Everton without a single shot on target. And look, yes, you can go back to, Kane's poor form. I know some people would argue that's to do with the service towards him, but there's nothing at the moment that looks right in this Tottenham side, in this Tottenham system. And I know a lot of that is the remnants of a Nuno Espirito Santo side that just simply didn't have tactics. There's a lot of work there for Conte to do. We started to see the beginnings of that with a more rigid defence against Everton on Sunday. But there's just so much work to do. And I don't think an intense physical game against Leeds is what we need right now. I'm a Spurs fan. I'm always going to predict a victory. You kind of have to. But I'm not going to say it with much confidence. But I'll go for a 2-1 win for Spurs. But if Leeds turn us over, I won't be surprised. And I also won't be too upset because I know what we're doing right now is a long-term project. I think Conte can win us a Conference League or an FA Cup. We're never going to win the league with the strength that's in there right now. But look, it's going to be we have to settle in and continue what's been a tough couple of years, but hopefully we'll get our rewards 12, 18 months down the line.
I think everyone outside of Spurs expects Conte top 4. Are you that confident as well? Because I keep hearing it everywhere.
I'm not. I said it from the minute the rumours were first there. After I stopped laughing at them, then when Nuno sacked, I realised, okay, this could possibly happen. Liverpool, City, Chelsea, as we all know, they're the top 3. Right now, West Ham are probably that team in 4th, and it hurts every fibre of my being to say that. But there's just too much work to do. There is look, he's gotten rid of the ketchup. They're not eating ketchup, so it's a good start.
Yeah.
But there's so much to do, and we need to, like I mentioned with Newcastle, just temper those expectations and not get carried away, as I have done in the past. I'll admit to that. But no, I'd be happy to get back into the Europa League next season and then just start building on from there.
Good. Yeah, I seen a lot of them were fat, right? A lot of them were overweight and stuff, wasn't it? That's basically what's been going on there. It'd be interesting. Mo Master forces. This guy knows what he's talking about. As you were speaking, I've been writing down some notes. You basically just done my preview tomorrow for me, so thank you for that.
I love it.
And you've made me really confident as well, man. So I'll be sat there going, did you know they hadn't scored since the 4th minute against West Ham?
Have we got a shot on target?
They didn't score against us, don't worry.
Yeah, we don't score goals. We have a -7 goal difference. That's terrifying. How's that happened?
You should have given Nuno more time, in my opinion. It's a shame, really. It never lasted. But
it'd be interesting how it. I'll take a point now. I'm like Oscar. I'd take a point now. It'd be a great point, to be honest. And then Brighton, we never do well against, and then we've got Palace and Brentford. So they're 2 winnable games. But I feel like after Leicester, we're back. You know what I mean? Played a very good Leicester side, regardless of what Locks will tell you. So I feel like we're back. But listen, we've rambled on. I'm really sorry for the lads. I know they've got lives and stuff, and I've kept us going here for an hour and 48 minutes. So apologies, but it's been a great show, and it's great to be back doing the Premier League and now the international breaks again. As I say, apart from those that are at AFCON, it's not again till March, but there'll be no break in the Premier League, so that's great. Before we leave, like I say, make sure you check out Kev on the LFC Day Trippers. Their link is in the description. He'll be doing a show that goes live at 10, so it's back to back for Kev. Sorry, I couldn't give you a little bit more time.
Give the Guinness a bit of a chill out time in the fridge. So, as soon as we finish here, that's my next port call. Straight into the cans.
There you go. So make sure you go over and check him out on the LFC Day Trippers. I think he's with Grizz tonight.
Yeah,
Carnage, a bit of Carnage.
Harry as well, I think, from Arsenal.
Good man. Oh, Harry Saimu, yeah,
Yeah.
good guy, yeah. Hates Calvin
Good
Phillips,
show.
but there you go.
And Conroy as well, so it'll be a good laugh.
Yeah, it will be. Conroy's a good guy as well.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
Yeah, Matt Hayes on the Tottenham block. Are you doing anything for the weekend game, Matt?
To be honest, I don't know. I'm just back from a lengthy spell on the sidelines. So we're taking it day by day. But look, we might do something in the coming days. I've just hit 2 million views as well, so we probably have to celebrate that with something interesting the next week or so.
Well done on your award as well, Matt, by the way.
Thank you,
Congratulations on that.
Appreciate
Well done.
Cheers.
Award?
The Football Content Awards.
Oh yeah, you came. Sorry, yeah. My apologies. I knew that. I did know that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, no, I did. I didn't. I didn't know. So, yeah, I did. No, I did, man. You came second, right?
I did.
Yes.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a silver award, though. It was great. Oscar, did we win the gold award last year? Just asking for a friend.
We did, right? We did. I don't want to be involved in this arrogance thing. I don't want to be involved in this.
Mate, I didn't even come anywhere, so it doesn't even matter, does it? Locks will not be doing a video over the weekend on Locks and Locks. Go and subscribe. If
Do
you
it.
want.
Do one. Go on,
Just
Locks.
do a Leicester preview.
Just anything.
for
Just 3 minutes.
Leicester versus Chelsea preview. It'll do well. Get it done. Do a watch along. Go on. I'm
Mate,
gonna end up
tell you
doing
what you
it.
should
Oh, yeah.
start doing. I think when in the bio, I think you should, next to my name, you should just put your channel. I think just put your own channel in, because there's no point of putting mine. So don't go and subscribe, because you're not going to get anything.
I feel sorry for them. I think it's 49 people that are subscribed. You're just
I'm
clogging
going
up
to unsubscribe, mate.
You're just
I've had
clogging up
enough.
their YouTube feed. You're a bad man.
Yeah, I could do something, but I just can't be arsed, mate.
Good man.
Stay subscribed, though. Stay subscribed.
Yeah.
Put
at least
subscribe.
you're on it. Oscar, Javiesta TV, how's it going, bro?
Yeah, not too bad. So filmed a preview for Xavi's first game in charge. So that'll be going out tomorrow morning. And all ECB filmed with Matt and Mr. David down at Irish Hotspur. Very interesting opposition preview. A couple of big takes from David, to be fair. A couple of big takes. Leeds apparently following Tottenham's blueprint, apparently, considering the fact we've won 3 league titles since they last won one. Seems a bit of a heavy take, but anyway, I just thought I'd get that in there for Matt. Let's leave it there.
I agree with you.
Good man. David's full of the hot takes. And Corey on the West Ham way, you're everywhere at the minute, aren't you, mate? Smashing
Yeah,
it.
I'm enjoying life. Yeah, all of a sudden West Ham do well. No surprise, everyone wants to have a chat with you about it. So yeah, it's going all right, mate. It's going all right. I have a preview out tomorrow. I'm a bit knackered now, so I'll say it for tomorrow.
Sorry for keeping you, bro. Sorry for keeping you.
No, it's all right. It's all right, mate. I've had a week off, so you know what it's like. You get back into work and you just it just drags a bit. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to Premier League. Looking forward to West Ham. So yeah, and then we've got Europe next week. So yeah,
it's all right for some, innit? It's all right for some. Just before everyone does go as well, what I am going to ask, okay, of these 169 people that are watching now, I have a Twitch channel, right? I'm going to be starting a Leeds United career mode, right? Tonight, okay? Leeds United career mode tonight after this, all right? So at 10 o'clock, I'll be on Twitch. I'm going to start career mode. Obviously, we're going to sign Conor Gallagher. We're going to sign Emile Smith-Rowe. I think they're going to be my first 2 signings, right? But I want you to come and watch that or come over and have some chat with me, right? So I'm begging for you to come over, right? I don't do this very often, but I am asking you. So if you're stuck for something to do, 10 o'clock, if you're not watching Trippers or not checking out Locks on the Box with all them videos, then make sure, right, you come over, right? The link is in the description, my Twitch channel, right? I'll be live at 10 o'clock, Leeds career mode. Start that. Please buy Hazard. We don't need him in Madrid, said Mo Master. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. Peace out. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure you check everyone out and we'll see you